Alright, looks like we are ready to go with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by StarrlightSims, so take it away. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by StarrlightSims, so take it away.
Cool. Hello, this is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I'm StarrlightSims. I don't have any co-commentators with me, so it will just be me talking to you for the next, hopefully, hour and 15 minutes, probably hour and 20 more likely. We'll just get started and I'll talk about the game as we go. So I will give a countdown from 5 and then we can get started. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Cool, so the first thing you probably have noticed is that we aren't playing in English. We are in fact playing in Norwegian. And the reason for that is that Norwegian saves a massive 4 frames over English. So it is in fact the fastest language by 4 frames. English is the second fastest. And then there's like German, French, Spanish, but they're all quite slow. It's only because there are 2 less text boxes and each text box takes 2 frames. But yeah, we get to play Harry Potter in the Norwegian language as it was intended. So we just get to head straight up to our first lesson, which is learning Flipendo, which unfortunately in this version is not called Nintendo, as it is often called in the PC version. We just have normal Flipendo. We do get to do some fun spell learning. So for this you have to basically copy what Quirrell does, however, we want to make it go as quick as possible. So if we get it wrong twice, and then get it right, it means that we only have to do 1 phase, and we can have the shortest number of actions to do each phase. And it just means it's over much quicker. In 100% we'd have to get all those stars, but luckily in 80% we don't, so we don't have to memorise really long chains. And some of them later on get really, really long. So with casting spells and going around, it's faster to stand in the same space when you're casting spells rather than casting and then moving and casting again, because the cooldown for casting spells is very long in this game. Same with hitting enemies. If you can, it's better to not damage enemies and just walk straight through them. And sometimes the enemies just like to be annoying. There we go. Their positioning is completely random, based on like the frame that you start up the console, so it's not really something you can predict, unfortunately. You can manipulate it by using spells at certain points, but it's not helpful in a RTA run, unfortunately. Which would be great, because they are really annoying. So here we're just basically... The beginning of this game is fairly normal, there's not really much we can do. There's a small skip we do here, although I forgot we were doing it, so we don't do it. It's fine, we don't... It saves like 0.5 seconds, it's not worth it. Here we want to position ourselves so we grab the star at the same time as grabbing the door animation, so it just speeds that up slightly. And then the reason we left this star for last is that every time we grab all 6 stars, the camera will pan all the way over to the front door to open up, and it's just a quicker scrolling from here than it is from the other star. And that is the first spell challenge finished. So now we are done with learning Flipendo. We're going to go to potions and do another lesson. The beginning of this game is very, so like, it's just sort of going through challenges, and then we'll get a bit more interesting in like 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, there we got average movement because of Hermione's animation. We can tell where we are. So yeah, this game, there's a lot of strats in this game that are known, but aren't done RTA because they are incredibly precise. There's actually a task of this game that was made in 2015 that is on YouTube. It is 56 minutes long and it is absolutely insane. If you want to go and watch a really cool task, go and watch the task for this game, because it is absolutely insane. We do some of the strats, but there are a lot of frame pixel perfect strats that save 0.3 seconds that really are not worth it at the moment in this game. This game is not at that point yet. This game's still in its sort of infancy of having optimized world records. The music in this game is great though. Like, it's all compressed down really well for Game Boy Advance. It is very loud though. This game is a very loud game, which makes audio leveling and stuff really annoying. So, like I said, there is a bit of enemy manipulation you can do in some places, like here. You can always hit that one by doing that movement, by going diagonally at the switch. It always means they come out in the same way. They can actually, what they can do is they can turn around and go back into those holes and get stuck, and you can't hit them for ages, so luckily it didn't happen. Thank goodness. The sound effects in this game are top notch, some of them. Some of them are awful. Like enemy shouting effects are terrible. So here we have 3 switches that we're meant to hit. However, they don't need to be held down, they just need to all be pressed at the same time. We're going to grab a beanbag for safety. We wouldn't normally grab that. But what it means is we can just stand on that last switch rather than pushing the barrel over. Save casting flipendo like 3 or 4 times. And like I said, spell casting in this game is really slow, so if we can avoid casting spells, we do, because they just take forever. The thing about this game is that it is incredibly unforgiving. So for example, if I was to fall into this pit here, I would go all the way back to the start of the challenge. If I ran out of health, I would go like massively back to like outside of the potions classroom. This game does not go easy on you, and in some places you can lose like 5-6 minutes by a death because you just get taken back so far. You can skip pushing that barrel by doing like a really precise walk around the edge of it, but it's incredibly precise. And if you fail it, like I said, you have to go back to the beginning of the challenge with no potion vials. So you'd have to redo the entire challenge. So for a marathon, we'll just take it safe. And that is the 2 sort of beginning challenges done. There's nothing super tricky in either of them yet, but the next challenge we have coming up, we'll have some very fun stuff going on that I'll try and explain as it's happening, but it happens quite quickly in some places. So hopefully we'll be able to work out what's going on. This game also has out of bounds. There's lots of places where you can sort of like walk in unintended ways. It has an actual out of bounds on any doorway that's sort of like facing downwards. And what you can do is you can pause buffer through a doorway, and because doorways take 2 frames to notice that you're going through them, and you can perfectly frame buffer every frame, you can just keep going and go into the void. Unfortunately, it's not helpful as of yet. All we know is that there are like unloaded versions of levels hidden outside of the levels. It's really weird. I'm gonna grab this health here because sometimes the next challenge can be annoying. Luckily, all these health drops respawn. And like I said, it's faster to take damage and to heal yourself than it is to cast a spell at an enemy. So we'll just try and take as much health as we can and just not worry about that side of it. Here, there's a push up here. The enemy was really in the way. Cool, and now we have Hagrid, who looks much better in this version than he does in the PS1 version. But yeah, this is where we'll start to see like sort of how weird this game can be sometimes. So the entire point of this area is that there's these giant turnip-looking things. And what we're meant to do is we're going to get 3 from around the garden. We're meant to put them onto these 3 switches, and it causes those 3 platforms to move. However, we don't have time for that, because one of them's really out of the way. Where's this enemy? This one could be annoying. No, please hit it. But what we can do here is we can clip into this hedge. Push it back the unintended way. Clip. No. Clip through this. Hit it back up. Clip into this hedge. Push it that way. Oh, no. Okay. Can be a bit finicky sometimes. Clip into this hedge. Push this back this way. And now we've got a situation where we can have the first 2 platforms moving, but not the last platform. And what that means is that we can... Oh good, that gnome fell in there, that's very helpful. We can now get to this last platform here, and luckily there is just enough space. If you go at a... It's fairly precise. If you go like that, you can just step over, and it skips having to go like all the way to the bottom of the garden for another egg. It's quite out of the way and it takes a while to get back, so it's a nice skip to have. And that's what we have to do here, so we can leave now without going to, like, there's an entire area down at the bottom with like a maze area, and you have to get out in the maze, and it's annoying. Luckily we don't have to do that. We can just go. And this entire area is cycle based because it's platform. So like there's certain times that you'll get in this area and you can't sort of not get those times. But that sort of gives you an example of sort of what is capable in this game. You'll see some more broken stuff a bit later on. But for now we have Quidditch. Well, Quidditch practice. So we're going to go and play some Quidditch. Practice. This game has two different like control settings for Quidditch. There's the basic setting and the advanced setting. I always recommend playing advanced because it is easier to control than the basic setting, which sounds weird, but it is. The advanced setting controls like an actual like vehicle, where if you hold left and right, how you'll go left and right. The basic setting, how it works is that if you hold up, how you will face up on the screen. If you hold right, how you will face right on the screen. If you hold left, how you will face left. So it's just like, it's a weird way of controlling it. I guess with a D-pad it might make more sense, but I play with a GameCube analog stick. So sometimes some of the angles, if it's meant to be intended for D-pad, sometimes they get a bit weird. And then you can skip this dialogue here, but it's slower because you have to go all the way around Ron. But now we're heading back up to the common room because we're going to learn another spell. Because we need more than just Flipendo to defeat the Dark Lord. Sorry, spoilers. I mean, to get through Harry's first year of Hogwarts unscathed.
Do you mind if I just plug something real quick?
Yeah, that's fine, go for it.
Alright, so just a reminder, this event is raising money for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, and every donation just goes to help fund research and help kids just get through tough times. So if you have some money, please consider typing !donate and throwing some money towards the cause, and we got some great incentives throughout this weekend, so please consider donating.
Yeah, and it is a great cause, so definitely get in your donations if you can. So yeah, now we have more spell learning. So it's exactly the same as Quirrell. You want to get it wrong twice, and then correct, and then wrong again. And if you do it fast enough, if you do it on the very first frame that you can actually put an input in, the arrows don't appear, so you can know if you've done it quick enough, or if you haven't done it quick enough. Like that. See, the arrows didn't appear on the screen. So therefore that was the very first frame I could have pressed it. Cool, so now we have the most broken part of the early game coming up. So what you're meant to do here is you're meant to be sneaking around the hallways and avoiding the prefects. However, the prefects are very broken. Oh, that was not right. There we go. So you can literally just walk into the prefect, and because you walk into them diagonally and then walk away diagonally, they don't register that you're there. So you're meant to be going through like entire mazes of like prefects and challenges and trying not to get caught. And these prefects are here to stop you doing this, but we don't care about that. We just skip all of them. And that skips like 3.5 to 4 minutes of just like walking through corridors. And I think that was all of them first try, which is very rare. So that was very nice. Those are actually a lot harder than I made them look. They're very, very precise. As I'm sure any other person who's played HP1 speedrunning can attest to. There aren't many, because like I said, this game can be very brutal. So it's a hard game to get into if you're going for like top level times. There's a lot of safe strats you can take, and a lot of like casual ways to do certain challenges. But obviously we're trying to go for a very good time, so we're not going to take those. So now we have more sneaking around, but this time in the dark. And unfortunately, we don't know Lumos yet, so we can't light up our way. So we haven't seen him yet, but Snape's actually walking around, and by doing sort of certain actions, we make Snape appear. But Snape is legally blind. Snape can't actually see, so we just walk around him a lot. We'll come very close to him at a lot of points, and he just will not see us. And then on these blocks, actually, something I haven't mentioned, if you are hitting a block upwards, if you just hold straight up as you're hitting the block... No, please face that way, Harry. It's actually very bad because... Sorry, I just hope Snape doesn't catch me here. Cool. If you hit a block upwards and just walk straight into it, you will actually fall into the void between the block and the floor as you're heading upwards, so you actually fall down and have to restart. You have to be very careful not to just walk into the block straight away. You have to wait a bit. What the task does is it walks in, so it like falls down and gets caught by the block. That's like frame pixel perfect. And then here, we do the same thing. We just go around this prefect again. And that just skips going through an entire puzzle to get back round as well. So getting all of those first try is incredibly nice. Like, I'm very happy with how that went. Cool, so now we have Herbology, which is just another spell challenge. It's like, there's a couple of interesting things that happen. I will try to explain them as we go. The thing with this game is there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of like small things that you can just miss if you aren't sort of like, if you don't know the game super well. There's a lot of tiny little like 1 second, 2 second time saves that aren't immediately obvious as time saves, but they are time saves. So this is in Norwegian, which is 4 frames faster optimally than English, because it has 2 fewer text boxes throughout the entire game. To the point that the task actually is in English, because the time it takes to switch to Norwegian is longer than the time save that Norwegian has. Yeah, you have to head all the way down to Herbology, it's really far away. And unfortunately there's no, like, apart from that shortcut up to Gryffindor Common Room, there are no shortcuts in this game. So you have to sort of take each level going the entire way. So there is a skip we do here. There's a flower in here that we need to grab. And then we can just wedge ourselves in between this gap. And that skips like going through half the level. Like I said, there's certain things which don't look like skips, but they are in fact skips. And then this... Oh, please click through. That is also skipping a ton of other stuff. And that just skips like going all the way around, hitting another one, opening up an area. And now we're going to actually go through like the area we're meant to go through. And this is like one of the only areas in the game where the game just lags. And it's really weird. Like, it just lags for no reason, and here as well. It's really strange, and I have no clue why it does that. But it does, so we have to just sort of deal with that lag. Yeah, so like, you'd normally go like up there and around there and all that area, but we don't go there. There's a trigger for some enemies to spawn here, but if you grind up against the bottom edge of that hole, the enemies will not spawn. And they're really annoying because there's like 4 doxies that spawn and they fly around and they hit you, and they can fly through walls. And the only way to kill them is to make them be eaten. So, luckily, we can skip that trigger. You'll see on the way back, because we'll hit it on the way back because it's faster. Yeah, there's like entire areas of all of these levels which we don't see. And unfortunately, in 100%, they're also not seen either, because 100%, a lot of the stuff that you get for 100% is in areas of like the main overworld as opposed to in the challenges. So because you don't really see much extra of the game. We just do a lot of like going to like little side areas to grab cards and frogs. Yeah, so you'll see here, there. So they spawn. But yeah, that is this challenge done.
Do you mind if I take a quick second to plug an upcoming bid war?
Yep, go for it.
Alright, so coming up shortly after this run, we got Shrek Extra Large, but after that we got Kirby Air Ride, and there is a bid war going on to pick the colors of the Kirbys that are going to be on screen. Right now we got white, green, yellow, blue, and red available to us, and right now there's actually a three-way tie, so if anyone wants to donate and break that tie up, then please consider donating, because there's only 2 Kirbys, you can't have 3 Kirbys. I mean, I'd love to have 3 Kirbys, but you simply can't. So donate and break that tie.
Cool, so we have Quidditch, which is really awful to control. So basically we just have to go through those rings and catch the snitch. There are bludgers flying around and there are other players flying around and their movement is completely random. And they can just hit you off course whenever they feel like it. It's great. It's really good game design. Love it. But something with Quidditch is if when the snitch spawns you are on the exact pixel that it's spawning on, it will immediately go into the second phase of Quidditch without having to chase the snitch first. That requires like pixel precision though, so we try and go for it at RTA, but I haven't gotten it ever. And I don't know if anyone else has gotten it ever. It's incredibly, incredibly precise. But yeah, so now we have the troll in the dungeon. And they always make a point in video games, in the Harry Potter, Philosopher's Stone video games in general, of being like, the troll is in the dungeon! And it's not in the dungeon, we're not going to go to the dungeon. We're going to go to like the first floor. But it's in the dungeon, technically. If we go up left, we just skip that prefect, and it's very slightly faster. And luckily I have enough health for the troll. Because if you only have 1 health, the troll's a lot scarier. But we have 3, so we're fine. So what we're going to do is we need to hit the troll into a giant hole. If we fall down any of these holes here, we fall into like a bonus area. And we don't want to be there because it wastes time. Like, a lot of time. Too much time. No, keep coming. If you get too far away, he does that thing. Cool. And we want to try and get back as far as possible for the camera, because the camera does a scroll, and that scroll is entirely dependent upon how far away you are. So now we have our next spell challenge, because we're going to learn another spell. This game we only have 5 spells we have to learn. We have Flipendo, Alohomora, Avafors, Lumos, and then Wingardium Leviosa. And so now we have another bunch of spell learning, so just more arrow pressing. And like I said, they get a lot longer later on. Like, a lot longer. And I have failed 100% runs whilst doing this. I've died in any percent I have to. If you die in a spell challenge in this game, like, if you lose all your health, you go back to before this arrow minigame, so you have to play the entire arrow thing again. It's very annoying. And then having health here is nice as well, because it means we can tank a hit from one of these. If we only have 1 health, we have to use Flipendo to hit the pixie. And then have to do some, like, fairly precise-ish movement to not get hit again. I'm going to grab some health for safety. Like I said, health's fairly quick in this game to pick up. Preferably you get the Bertie Bean bags, because they refill your health fully. But they're only in certain places. Yeah, the point of these is just to grab all 6 stars. Interestingly enough, there is a video on YouTube of someone who hacked the game to be able to walk through walls, and they left the spell challenges early, and leaving the spell challenges early without grabbing all the stars had some interesting results. And in fact, leaving the very first spell challenge... what hit me? What was that? They can't damage you, can they? Maybe they can. Interesting. Oh dear. Yeah, so like I said, you have to do these again. Let's get through this and I'll carry on talking about what I'm talking about.
Yeah, while you're just redoing some of that stuff, I'll just talk about some stuff we got going on through this weekend. We got a weekend full of speedruns, and while we are speedrunning, we are raising funds for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and you can donate towards some incentives and some bid wars as well. I think one of the big ones that we got coming up is going to be a choice for the next SpeedDocs video, so choice between Jack 3, Ratchet and Clank, and Final Fantasy 9. Just donate and let your wallet be heard.
I might have to donate for one of those. Which one do I want? Probably Jack. What was I talking about? Yeah, so there's a video on YouTube. And if you go out of bounds in the very first spell challenge and you don't collect all the stars and you skip to the end, you actually wrong warp to the credits of the game. So if we've ever found a way to get out of bounds in this game, we would be able to basically have a 3-minute speed run. But it's not possible. There is no way, other than like the one way we know of, to clip out of bounds, and even that way is very situational. But yeah, okay, we're back to the point where we were. Now it's only like 2 minutes lost. There's a star here. Luckily, because we died, we have full health now, so don't have to worry about that. Because normally I'd grab a, there's a Bertie beam in that chest, but I'm not going to grab it, because we have basically full health. And that is all the stars. And yeah, it's annoying, you have to go around the entire thing just to get that one star at the end. And unfortunately there's no way of like getting past those, because in most places you can like walk diagonally, but those ones you just fall into the holes. Here we can skip an owl dialogue by sort of just holding left. Skips having to read that scroll, and the scroll is basically Hagrid saying, "Alright Harry, I need you to come to me hut. I have something to give you," basically. Thank you for my really awful Hagrid impression. Yeah, we basically have to just go to see Hagrid now, because he has he wants some flubberworm mucus that we're going to go and get some worms for. And we also acquire an item that is very interesting, but not particularly useful casually, or really for a speedrun, but it saves some time here and there. Okay, I'm going to grab this beanbag though. Yeah, and there, what you're meant to do is you're meant to like go into that top area and push that other log down, but we can just barely get through that gap between the log and the hedge. So we don't have to do that, which is good, because any area where you have to like defeat one of these plants or defeat a gnome is not good. That gnome keeps getting in my way. But yeah, so like we're going to go back out the same door, but Hagrid now has an entirely different garden. So this area is in fact very broken. We're meant to go to the left and then go up, but here we can just barely clip through here. And what that does is it means we're going to go through the entire area backwards. It also skips the trigger for a ton of enemies to spawn. So there's meant to be a ton of enemies in this area. But because we skip that trigger, none of them will be in the area. There's a couple that are in certain areas, but other than that, there's a ton of doxies that we skip. And it just makes it a whole lot safer, which is good. Because oh no, which one was that? I think it was this one all the way over here. Oh dear. That's what I get for trying to talk. Yeah, you have to be careful with these, because if they fall into holes or if they get too close to those plants, they'll be eaten. And then you have to go and find them again. And once you have, because we're going to get 6 and we're going to carry them all at the same time, once you have more than like 3 or 4, it's hard to know which one's just falling into the hole. Let's put these all the way over here. And then there's like there's a chocolate frog up there, but we're not going to grab it because we don't need them. All they do is give you more health, and for a speed run, that's not really needed. For 100% they're required, like I said, but we're not worried about that right now. Yeah, so this is basically just an escort. Like, we have to just grab all these little worm things. And there's not, because it's an escort, there's not really much we can do to speed it up, unfortunately. There's a doxy here which will just hit you, like there's nothing you can do about it. And then we want to get it to be eaten, otherwise it will follow us around forever. There's a worm down there that hears our lovely flute playing. Other than this area, the flute casually is not used until like right near the end of the game. So it's a pretty useless item. Although like the thing it does later on in the game lets you continue. Yeah, so now we have 5 worms all following us. And then here at the end we're just going to go down this way. Yeah, so that moving platform you just saw there in the top corner. I can't speak English. In the top right corner is the way you're meant to get into that challenge, and that's where all the enemies spawn. And if you were trying to leave fastest, you'd go on that platform to leave. But it spawns all the enemies and it's a bit risky, so we don't do it. But now we're going to head all the way back. Oh, no, please don't go back into Hagrid's hut. No, what? So when you cast spells, your hitbox increases. Don't want to be hit by these, there we go. Yeah, so when you cast spells, your hitbox increases both ways, so if you're near a loading zone, or near an enemy or something, and you use a spell, you're going to be hit. Which is actually why the flute is slightly more useful for speedrunning. Not a huge amount, but it is. And that will be coming up in a sec. Let me just grab this. Because we have another challenge coming up where we can take a ton of damage. Like a ridiculous amount. So here, if we play the flute as we enter a loading zone, what it does is it extends our hitbox like ever so slightly. So we save a frame entering the loading zone. And it's something I always forget to do when I'm speedrunning this game, but it saves a frame each time if you do it optimally. So really, it's like over the course of the run, it's like a second. And a lot of the time you'll mistime it and you won't get it, or you do it too early. No, I need to go to the 3rd floor. So we're going to go and learn Lumos, which is actually probably the most dangerous of the spell challenges. Which sounds really weird because it's a spell that can't actually damage anything. No, please talk to Quill. So now we have more randomly doing arrows. Oh, I did the wrong direction. I may start saying them now. Right, up, right, right, up, up, right, up, right, right, up, up. Yeah, if you get that 3rd one wrong, it's annoying because you have to do the entire thing again. So you want to make sure you're getting that 3rd one right. Lovely. So now we're going through the same door but a different challenge. And we know Lumos, which actually in this area we don't actually cast because it's not useful. And it loses time. But we're going to go through this area in complete darkness, basically. Luckily, we know what we're doing, because... Well, I know what I'm doing, because I've played this game enough times now. So this first area is pretty tame. There's nothing here that really can happen. That gnome is RNG, so it can sometimes hit you, sometimes can't. Preferably it doesn't, because you need your health. Because of the second area. Where is this gnome? Oh, it's going to hit me. Yeah. Okay, hopefully I don't get hit in this room. Cool, okay. It's going to be fairly risky. I'm going to open this. There's a beanbag here, cool. So there's a ton of gnomes here, and we have to knock all of them over to open up the door to the next area. And here we're actually introduced to blue gnomes, and blue gnomes take 2 hits to knock down. Please. There we go, cool. And there's one more over here somewhere. Oh, I'm missing a gnome. Where's the last gnome? Where are you? There you are. Oh, please. Okay. Cool. We're done. We can leave. And health, hopefully, shouldn't be too much of an issue. Hopefully I don't die in this next area, because this next area is fairly risky. Thanks, Ron. This is probably my least favourite area of the game for a speedrun. Just because the risk of dying is very high. And later on into the area, the penalty for death is very high. You go back an insane amount of time. You lose like 6 minutes if you die right near the end. And it is very possible. So here we have a bit of sneaking, but I say sneaking, it's not really sneaking, it's just walking around some prefects. Because they're all, like I said before, they're all blind. Into Snape's private storeroom. We're going to grab ourselves some potion ingredients. And into the next challenge. So this is where it gets a bit risky. Especially because I'm on 1 health. I'm gonna kill that because I can't risk it. So there's a lot of back and forth in this area. Like there's a lot of like opening something and then going back to it and reopening something and changing something. And theoretically here you can hit that switch and then turn back around and just walk straight back onto it, but it is pixel frame perfect. And like I said, if you fall into the pit you lose a ton of time and it's just not worth it. There's, like I said, there's a lot of strats like that where you save like 2 or 3 seconds by doing a pixel perfect move, and it's just like, is there much point at this point in time in a marathon going for that? I need to hit that. So I have to wait for it to go back down again. So this is the only place we cast Lumos, because, well, there's actually a point later on as well, I lie. But anytime we're on those moving blocks, we can cast it because it's not losing us time. And it just means we'll be able to see, which is a nice thing to be able to have in a speedrun, the ability to see. But now we're just going to head all the way around. And annoyingly, with the fastest cycle you can do this in, you just miss out on like a really perfect cycle for... Okay, another death. This is why the estimate's quite high. Because death is very costly. And Harry's hitbox is a bit weird sometimes. So we have to go all the way back through that first area again. This game's actually the, optimally, it's the shortest of all the Harry Potter 1 runs. At the moment it's not, because the world record's not very optimised. And the world record for the PC version is very good. But if this game was to have like a really optimized world record, it would be faster. It's actually weird because there are 5 versions of Philosopher's Stone. There's Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, PC, PS1, and then 6th gen, so PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. And the world record for the Game Boy Advance version, the Game Boy Color version, the PC version, and the PS1 version are all like within 6 minutes of each other. And then, so this is 1 minute 8 seconds, 1 hour 8 minutes. PS1 is 1 hour 14 or 13, I believe. Game Boy Color is 1 hour 12, 1 hour 11. PC is 1 hour 8, I believe. And then 6th gen, oh please pass in that diagram. 6th gen is 2 hours and, ooh, I believe 49 minutes. So it's that much longer. You can actually do 2 entire playthroughs of this game in the time it takes to do the GameCube Xbox version of this game. So hopefully we'll get back to the point where we were at before. Well, we are. We're now past that point. So here we have to just wait for some cycles. Like I said, if we did this optimally, we'd just about skip a cycle. But we lost a bit of time. So actually, we're here a fairly good cycle. And then there's some gnomes we have to defeat. Like I said, they can be really annoying. And then here we want to stay towards the right, because if we go to the left, the Doxy spawns. And it flies around the entire level following us, and it's really annoying. And we don't want that. And we can't kill it till much later. So we just go a bit further to the right than we would if we were taking an optimal path. Normally I wouldn't come down this edge. But there's a beanbag down here, and this final little room is very scary. Because of all these Doxies. And then there's a Doxy that spawns here, however, that is actually 2 Doxies on top of each other. So if it hits you, you actually take 2 hits of damage. Which is really stupid. Like, really stupid. Because you can't see it's 2 Doxies. But it can just kill you very quickly. But that is, like I said, possibly my least favourite area to speedrun done. But now we have to get back to the common room. Unfortunately we can't, we have to take a detour to another challenge that is broken but like not broken at the same time, which is the pattern of a lot of these. But there's prefects running around as well, so we have to avoid those. And this prefect coming up here, we can avoid it by going to the left, but it is incredibly precise. That one there. You can like just about avoid it by running to the left and up, but it's just safer to go to the right, and especially because I've had 2 deaths now, I'll take the safer option. So now we have another dungeon, and this one relies very much on these moving blocks. And we can cast Lumos here to be able to see because we have time on this moving block. But the second area of this challenge is we're going to sort of break, but not really. Like I said, it's technically breaking it, but at the same time it's not really doing anything that is completely weird. Head all the way up here. Wait for the cycle here. You have to wait for this cycle no matter how... Oh! Okay. Or we're just going to fall into that void because that block is weird sometimes. So for some reason, sometimes when that block's moving to the left, it just doesn't... It's not tangible. And I'm not really sure what causes it. But it can just basically just not be where it says it is. So there's a lot of little stuff in this game that just sort of like, from a speedrunning perspective, is fairly annoying. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, because this area is not very interesting. That didn't hit. So there's a switch up here. And now that we've hit it, what that's meant to do is it's meant to open up a shortcut from the end to the beginning. However, we can abuse that to go from the beginning to the end. So rather than going like all the way around on moving blocks and working our way up there, we can just wait here for this moving block which we've opened and use it to just skip all the way to the end of where we're meant to be going. And that saves like half a minute, I think. It's not a huge amount of time, but it is a lot easier, especially because, like I said, the blocks sometimes just don't exist, so it risks less. Should not have done that. Should have waited till I was here. It's fine, because we didn't actually lose any time because we weren't on a good cycle. Like I said, all these areas are cycle based, like you just have to hope you get good cycles going. And here are some really fun moving blocks. And this top one's going super fast and can sometimes just not exist. And it's very fun to get all the way to the end and just fall through a block. So now we have more story. So Harry sees his parents. Dumbledore's like, "Have you looked in the mirror of Erised, Harry?" Harry's like, "No, of course not. What are you on about?" And Dumbledore's like, "It shows you what you most want in the world." And then we can carry on with our way. And yeah, like, this is the area we snuck through before, but there's no prefix here now because that would make it ridiculously hard. And the game sort of like lets up a bit. It's like, yeah, you've sort of done this already. Cool, so now we head to potions. And we're gonna learn how to make the Wiggenweld potion, which we then actually get given. So now, if we go down to 0 health once, we will lose. We won't lose. Sorry, we will gain back full health. So essentially, we have 10 hits if we have full health now, which is nice for later on because there's a very risky area where we take a lot of damage later on. Where am I going? That's not right. I'm not going to the right place. I have a spell challenge first. This is what happens when you don't remember the route of the game. Route. I feel it's route. No, second. Oh, yeah, like I said, it's always this challenge as well. I always forget which floor it's on. It's definitely route in English, but I always say route because American speedrunners. So like everything else is English, but I always, even in just casual conversation, like what's the route? So right, up, right, down, left, I think. Just keep changing it around. You're a Blizzard Harry. You're a Lizard Harry. Cool, so now we have Wingardium Leviosa, which is possibly the most technical of the spells. So how it works is that you can cast on these objects and get them to move. It's actually interesting in terms of casting on them because the camera movement, we try to manipulate it so that it's not moving as much as possible without Harry moving as well. So if we can, we try and lodge Harry between them, or we try and get as close as possible before we cast, just to minimise the amount the camera's moving. I would sing my cover of Dairy Queen, but I don't think that's allowed on Twitch, is it? Get the video muted. So here we can move this statue instead of moving all the things because it's slightly quicker. Just saves like a couple of seconds of moving that other one. So we just keep moving these. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to remove myself from this marathon because I am, in fact, lactose intolerant. So, unfortunately, I will have to... Oh, please don't go back down that ladder. I will have to remove myself from the situation. I'm sorry I've let you down. Cool, so we have Quidditch. More Quidditch, because Quidditch is always fun. Also, there's like save books around, and if you get close to them, it prompts like a... The very first time you get close to a spell book, it gives you dialogue and loads straight into the save screen. So we try and avoid save books as much as possible. There's some near the end which are basically on your spawn point, and you can just barely avoid them. So now we have a match against Hufflepuff, I believe this one is. So the snitch spawns somewhere up here. I think it's like around here. Oh. Yeah. And then this path is always the same. And I say that, I'm not very good at it. Once again, because this game, Quidditch controls really awfully. And even with like a full bar, you still have to be close to the snitch to catch it. Like that. There we go. Cool, and now we head to the library. And this is possibly my favourite area because there's a lot of complex movement, there's some interesting stuff going on, we have some interesting challenges, some puzzles, we have to use all the spells to get through, so you'll see some really cool stuff coming up in this next area. We have to go through the first area of the library first, though, to get to the restricted section. This first area is basically just... There's a couple of things here you'd go to get for 100%. We skip all of them. We just move this over to the switch. And then this restricted section is where this game really comes alive. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here, and I actually lied about all that stuff because the developers forgot that floors exist beyond the point of that you can actually see. So you can skip the entire first half of the challenge by doing that, and then you're meant to go back round again, but oh, that's not right. And then you can just skip the entire challenge like that way. And that just skips the entire like the entire area. I couldn't even tell you what it looks like. I've never done it. Ever. Like, not even casually. That skip is so easy and so obvious that it's shocking that they missed it. And unfortunately we bumped into Snape here. But Snape's like, oh, it's fine. It's fine that you're sneaking around at night. Just go back to the common room. So we are. We're going to go back. And we get to take the shortcut this time, though, because there's a prefect there. And we can't get... The prefects on the stairs there, they deactivate the loading zone, so we can't actually just get past it anyway, even if we wanted to. Even if it was quicker, we couldn't. So something I haven't talked about actually yet. When you're entering a new area, if you hold a direction, the game buffers one step in that direction before the next area loads properly. So entering that dining hall, what's meant to happen is there's meant to be a cutscene where Draco sort of makes fun of Harry and some stuff happens. But I held up left going into that, and it meant that I stepped out of the trigger for that cutscene before that cutscene loaded. So I actually just skipped the entire cutscene. And I say entire, it's like a 10-second cutscene, but it's just nice to be able to skip those sort of things. This snitch spawns down here somewhere, I believe, if I remember correctly. Oh, it's more to the left. Please. Cool, okay, that was not awful. That was fine. So now we've got detention. For some reason. I think Snape gave it to us. Unfortunately. So it means we have to go to the Forbidden Forest. Which, can someone explain to me? Like, why is it forbidden, but they hold detention in there? Like, I don't understand. Someone who knows Harry Potter better than me, please explain.
Well, I mean, you're not supposed to go there unless you're in detention. That's why it's forbidden.
Sure, that's the best we'll get. Sounds like a J.K. Rowling answer. We can just step through these mushrooms, it's quicker. So we just have to head all the way back through the set. We come here a ton. But each time we go somewhere different. But we're now in the Forbidden Forest. Oh, please. There we go. So you can actually get through that without hitting that, but it's ridiculously precise. Like, it is the most precise thing in this game. More precise than any, like, it is sub-pixel perfect. It is insane. I've gotten it once in practice. And it took a very long time and a lot of health. Yeah, so there, you saw I lost all my health, but I re-healed myself. It's actually not the best place to re-heal yourself, but I will take it. There's a troll here for some reason. My headcanon is it's the same troll that was in the bathroom. And now we finally meet our best friend, Quirrell. I mean Lord Voldemort, sorry. I mean, spoilers. We don't know that. Even though he's wearing the same clothes. Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil the story. For anyone who hasn't read the book, since it came out. But here, there's meant to be like, there's visual clues in the tree canopy as to where you're meant to be going. But we know where we're going, so we don't have to worry about that. I'm actually going to take a ton of damage. Like, this area is hard to not take damage in. There's a very precise cutscene skip here you can get. I didn't get it. there's like a 1 or 2 pixel gap between Ron and Hermione where there's no cutscene trigger for some reason. And you may as well go for it. But we're going to be heading into the final area soon. And as long as we're heading here to like sub an hour, we should be fine for estimate. Hopefully. Unless something goes catastrophically wrong. Which, this is Harry Potter 1, it could. But I have no health, so what I might do is take an intentional death here. You're right, I'm sorry, Voldemort's dead. I'm sorry, what am I on about? There's no Voldemort in this game. Don't be silly.
There is no war in Hogwarts.
Exactly. The biggest enemy is the friends Harry made along the way. I do apologise for my lack of humour throughout this one. So we're gonna just head through this area. There's not really much we can do here in terms of skips because it's fairly linear. There's some fairly precise walking. It's not really platforming, it's more walking. There's a chocolate frog. So those are what we'd be getting at 100%. That one is basically unskippable. Like, unless you get really good RNG with where it moves. There's a platform there. So we are actually now heading into like the final gauntlet of the game. So we've got all like the end challenges, and they all have interesting stuff happening in them. But first of all, we have to defeat. I say defeat. We have to put to sleep the giant dog, which sounds more morbid than it is. We are literally just putting it to sleep. We're not like quote unquote putting it to sleep. It's not going to a farm up north. We are just putting it to sleep. It is possible. There is like a really small space on the bottom of the screen where you can walk like next to the dog and not get hit by the dog. Once again, it's really precise and it's just not worth going for. All it does is it means that the dog will fall asleep closer to the door. It doesn't actually save any time. It doesn't save time on the actual dog itself. It saves time on the walk to that gate. So here I'm just going to go for a fairly precise set of moves that will hopefully work first try. They look cool when they happen. If it doesn't look cool, then I'm sorry. But we're gonna... No, cool. Missed it. Try again. This is actually just like... It's fairly precise, but there's not really any risk because you can't take damage for it. So you're not really in any danger. There we go. So it's just a quick way of doing it. And there's these plants all around the this area. However, the only one that actually triggers anything is the very last one. So that's the only one we'll be defeating. Because a lot of them take a lot of time to get to. There's an entire area of this dungeon which we don't see. Which is actually good because it's not particularly interesting. It's just lots of corridors. But it leads to a chocolate frog, I believe. A weird thing about this game, actually, that we don't really know why, is for some reason, on console, when trying to 100% the game doesn't give you the last card for some reason. So how this game works is that if you get all 15 cards throughout Hogwarts whilst you're playing the game, there's like a change to the final cutscene where Ron basically goes, Harry, I saw you got all the cards. Here's a card of yourself. And somehow there's a card of Harry Potter with his current face on it. Don't ask me. For some reason on console that doesn't happen. And we actually have no clue why, because we do exactly the same thing on emulator and it gives us the cutscene. So for some reason it's a console thing. So if anyone wants to run this game 100% and work out why, feel free. It still counts as 100% because we still get everything in the game that we can physically get. So this is the worst bit of flying in the game because the other keys can just spawn in really awful places. However, we got a really good key, which is nice. Very rare that I get that key. That's sort of the quickest you can get it. And then we have chess, which obviously, in the vein of Harry Potter games, is not actual chess. It's just sort of like flashing pieces moving around a board. Oh, I missed one. I have to wait for it to go in an entire cycle. Just wait for it to go all the way down. They always go in the same cycles and the same patterns, so if you memorise where they're going to be, you'll be fine every time. And like I said, there's a book here. If you just hold straight up, you walk straight into the trigger. So you have to hold up left. Just avoid it. And then Hermione disappears. And we are literally in the very last, sort of like, major dungeon of the game. We have this and the final boss, who I have no clue who it's going to be. Anyone have any guesses? I don't know. Can't imagine who the final boss would be in a Harry Potter 1 game. Oh no, there's a ledge here we can walk on. No. My spell changing has not been good this run. Like I said, yeah, you need to put yourself in a good position for Wingardium Leviosa. Like here, I'm going to wait till I get right up next to it. You're so right, it is in fact, Neville Longbottom is the final boss. That would be a great twist. I'd play a Harry Potter 1 game where that was it. The final boss was like Neville and I don't know who else is a year 1. My Harry Potter knowledge is gone. Who's in new year 1? Neville. What's his name? Justin. What's his name?
Timberlake.
I've gone to the wrong area. Yeah, Justin Timberlake. Yeah, he's a first year Hogwarts student in the first year of Harry Potter. Although he gave up magic, I think. It's a shame. Some people say he is magic still.
He is pretty magical.
You can skip pushing this block to the right here, but it's insanely precise, and I used to go for it, but I'm chicken, so I don't anymore. It's not actually too hard. Yeah, Dean Thomas, isn't it like Fincher Fletcher or something, is one of the students. The Patel's there, first years. Just start naming random Hogwarts students and hope they're in the first year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, it's fine. Like I said, I like playing the games. My actual knowledge of Harry Potter is incredibly lacking in some places. So there's some enemies that spawn here, and we actually have to spawn these enemies because if we don't spawn them, this door doesn't spawn. Well, no, sorry, this door spawns. This potion here doesn't spawn, and it's really weird. But we can just skip putting it into the thing. There's one final little sort of like trick we do in this final room where we can sort of skip part of this challenge. So we're going to put all of these on the switches. This is meant to be like testing you on all the spells you've learned so far, which is basically like it doesn't test anything except for Wingardium Leviosa, really. Sorry, Leviosa, not Leviosa. Yes, there is Moaning Myrtle in the bathroom, although she's not in this game, or in this book, I don't think. I think she's only introduced in the second one. So here we can just get through that gap. So what we can do here is you're meant to not be able to use this barrel to hit that button. However, if we put this rock here, we can just skip that. So it saves pushing like a barrel the entire length of the room, which is very tedious. And no one wants to do that because that takes time. And speedruns are all about saving time. Yeah, but we are almost done with the run. not been too bad a run. It had 2 deaths, so without those deaths, it probably could have been a world record. But what can you do? It's a marathon. But so we've got all the potions now, so we are gonna leave. We're gonna go and see Hermione. She'll be like, Harry, you have to go and fight the final boss by yourself. I can't help you through this. Because she has to stand on that button. So now we're going to walk through this fire and fight the final boss. Who, shock horror, is Quirrell. But it's not, it's actually Voldemort. Who would have guessed? So Voldemort, what he does is he shoots green stuff at you. And you're trying to knock over these pillars. Where is he gone? But you want to try and avoid taking damage because you need a lot of health for the later sections. There's like 2 phases to this boss fight, and it can be a bit tedious if you have no health. This is going to hit me. Luckily there's these barrels you can get health from. Which I'm going to grab just for safety. Voldemort, come here. What? There we go. Cool, and now we fall through the floor. And fun fact, if you actually in fact take damage as the floor is falling away and you die, you actually can fight this boss with 0 health. It doesn't do anything, it just means if you take a hit you die. But it's a fun thing you can do. Obviously not a natural run. So normally he's only meant to be able to take 2 hits per side, but if you manipulate sort of where he's standing, he can take up to 4 hits a side. However, what he's going to do here is he's going to go all the way to the top and just start his next rock throwing phase. We are literally almost at the end though, so time is coming up very soon. It's just 2 more hits and then basically time. Okay, cool. And time. So that is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone on Game Boy Advance. We just have a cutscene at the end where Dumbledore tells Harry that everyone knows what's happened, and we win the House Cup. And that is the game. Yeah, it's a cool run. There's lots of stuff going on that's like... There's lots of small stuff that happens, a few big skips, but you're constantly sort of like doing speed strats in the game. So it's an interesting run to run, and I definitely suggest it to anyone who's looking for like a medium length, sort of like fairly straightforward-ish run to learn. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say.
Well, all I can say is thank you very much for putting on an excellent show. And up next we got Shrek Extra Large with Silo Simon, so get ready for that.